Hello, you're very welcome to the presentation of this paper titled Are We in the Digital Dark Times? Today I have the pleasure to introduce you to some reflections myself and my colleague at Technological University Dublin, Damien Gordon, have been developing about the philosophy of Hannah Arendt. Our research started by realizing that Hannah Arendt had a lot to say about some of the ethical dilemmas posed by modern digital technologies. Arendt was a refugee during the Second World War, and we all know a little about Arendt's work, mainly for a concept of banality of evil. Though it is essential to acknowledge that her political thought was not purely driven by the traumatic experience of Second World War. It was in fact mainly driven by an original theory of action and a deep reflection on social structures. Today we want to focus on what she would have had to say if she had a chance to see the world as we now know it. Social media and the internet in general, as well as techniques such as machine learning, have drastically changed the world we live in, with major and sometimes dramatic repercussions. What would have Arendt said about social media? We might find out that they are, in fact, banally evil. Arendt coined the concept of banality of evil when writing the accounts of Eichmann's trial. Here's what she wrote. So many were like him, and the many were neither perverted nor sadistic. They were, and still are, terribly and terrifyingly normal. These are the words Arendt uses to describe Eichmann. Normal, terrifyingly normal. This could very well be used as a lens for both the developers of social media and the users of social media. It is important to recognize that social media companies want to keep their users on their sites for as long as possible. They want us to keep scrolling. And in order to achieve this goal, they sometimes use manipulative approaches. One example are digital nudges. Small interventions that guide choices without restricting them, such as timely reminders, personalized messages, or small digital rewards. As users are using social media, more and more behavioral data is being collected about them, so that an increasingly complex and comprehensive digital model of each individual is created. And the correct means to extend that user session time will be identified to expose that user to as much advertisement as possible. What are the consequences of this banal monetization process? Research showed that social media usage can cause symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder in adolescents. And they also found that these adolescents engage in coping mechanisms to help to reduce the long-term negative effects of exposure. The statistics are stunning. From the outbreak of social media, there has been a 62% increase in hospitalizations for American females aged 15 to 19 and a 189% increase in females aged 10 to 14 due to self-harm. Social media companies are aware of this. The words the employees use to justify their actions are way too similar to the ones heard during Eichmann's trial. I was just doing my job. It was good for my career. I was only doing what the company asked for. The second insight we can learn from Arendt's work is about propaganda. We are used to the idea that politicians sometimes lie to get elected, but digital media brought this to a whole other level. While in the past politicians would avoid telling outright lies, being afraid of potential political consequences, in the past decade there has been a change, and politicians have learned to use strategic lies with apparently no consequences. Donald Trump, during his presidential campaign, claimed to have proved that Barack Obama was not born in the USA. And he also claimed that he was going to hire a team of private investigators to provide evidence. Even after President Obama published his birth certificate, Trump continued to reiterate his claims to create the impression of Obama otherness in the mainstream media. Note that there is no record of a team of private investigators ever being hired, leading to think that President Trump was very well aware that he could not possibly provide evidence for his lies. Boris Johnson lied in the attempt of encouraging his citizens to vote for Brexit. Well, nobody believed him when he tried to persuade people that the European Union was going to ban bananas and kettles for good. But people seem to have forgotten his previous lies when he claimed that the UK sends $350 million a week to the EU. In reality, the UK used to send a net figure of $210 million a week to the European Union. Johnson even got his claim printed on the side of a bus with the catchy slogan, "Let's fund the NHS instead." Arendt predicted this as well. In an ever-changing, incomprehensible world, the masses had reached the point where they would, at the same time, believe everything and nothing, think that everything was possible and that nothing was true. Many people seem now to believe that truth is a relative concept, and they feel empowered to choose their own version of reality, where sometimes existing beliefs and prejudice are more important than facts, particularly if the existing beliefs and prejudice are reiterated and amplified by their political leaders. This also means that those individuals have abandoned conventional criteria of evidence and fact-checking, and in exchange they are not obliged to have to think about difficult or unsettling realities. This filter bubble is comforting to those who live in them, and the residents of this isolationist space tend to reward the politicians who help maintain these bubbles. Arendt has also something to say about machine learning. Let's talk about a couple of machine learning scandals first. In 2012, Amazon began developing a software to help personal recruitment. After a year, they discovered that the system was sexist in operation, always preferring male candidates over female ones. The system was eventually abandoned, but what happened there? Since a significant majority of existing successful candidates were male, the system was fed an abundance of data on male candidates and less on female candidates. And we might be used to the idea that large multinationals might be careless when coming to ethical issues. But this kind of problems arise even when the purposes of machine learning are humanitarian and beyond financial gain. In 2013, IBM started developing a new oncology expert advisor system that would ultimately lead to a cure for cancer. The system gave erroneous and dangerous cancer treatment advice. The project was abandoned in 2018. What happened in this case? Again, the software was trained on synthesized data rather than real patient data. The number of similar cases is almost uncountable, and all of you definitely got a sense of that from the media, Twitter, and recent documentaries. So what has Arendt to say about this? No matter how abstract our theories may sound or how consistent our arguments may appear, there are incidents and stories behind them which, at least for ourselves, contains, as in a nutshell, the full meaning of whatever we have to say. Computers might be better equipped to perform logical operation than human brains, but thought arises out of incidents, imperfections, and mistakes. The incidents of living experience. This is a profound insight into the problems of machine learning. What Arendt is saying is that real thinking can only occur through the lens of human experience, and an abstract representation of idea do not encompass the totality of thinking. Arendt is aware that the world we live in is a lively and turmoiled one. The truth of the situation is that the datasets used by these systems cannot capture the full diversity of real-world experiences. Every time we fill a database with data, we partially lose some description of the world. Secondly, since machine learning seems currently incapable at this stage of describing the world as it is, including mistakes and imperfection, this has political consequences. While acting freely in the world, each individual creates a shared political space. The exposure of human experience is a necessary and sufficient condition to create a political space where the individuals can work together and regulate themselves in environments not regulated by government, such as the internet. To put it simply, think about a pool, or, to speak in IT terms, a data lake. You can't get the full picture of the world's complexity with a dataset, and it's also hard to see what others are doing, reaching them, start acting together as a collectivity. We don't stand a chance in trying regulating the internet if our human side is drowned into deep waters of zeros and ones. In conclusion, let's give Arendt some space. History is magister vitae. We should learn from history. How many times have we said or heard this sentence? Isn't it horrifying that the lessons learned by a refugee during Second World War seem to describe so well the world we currently live in, and that took so much effort to rebuild? Have we really learned a lesson? Maybe we missed some of the voices we should have listened to. Thanks for joining us today. Feel free to get in touch with myself or Damien anytime. Damien and I are delivering this presentation as part of the Ethics for You project. Check the website to learn more and stay updated. Thank you very much.